We're not a country that divides ourselves into tribe or clan or creed. We do not believe one sex more intelligent nor more modest than the other. We do not persecute you for your religion or your sexuality. We are at our heart a country built on Christian and Enlightenment values and common law. It's the desire for reason, the belief that we should want for our neighbour what we want for ourselves, and that we should be equal before the law, which has steered us towards being a more meritocratic society than almost any other in the world. Now, I believe in making sure opportunity can reach you no matter your background, class or circumstances, and I do think we have some way to go there. But deep in our national psyche, we believe in judging someone by their character, not their characteristics. There is a proud legacy of laws passed by Parliament which shows this tendency of ours to protect the few from discrimination and harassment from the many. As many have referenced, the Equality Act 2010 brought together many existing laws on discrimination, including rights for pregnant women and disabled people. These were certainly important pieces of law, but they serve as a reminder. Just as human rights were not created by the Human Rights Act in 1998, equality was not created by the Equality Act in 2010. And I would just say to the Lib Dems who talked about being evidence-based, the Coalition for Racial Equality and Rights, when they did a review of the public sector equality duty in Scotland, and I quote, said there was virtually no robust evidence of positive change in the lives of people with protected characteristics. So we should not fall into the trap of treating this legislation as flawless or beyond scrutiny just because it speaks to values that we hold dear. Because the Equality Act did not just bring together discrimination and harassment laws, it went much further. It imposed a legal duty on public bodies and private institutions to promote equality based on 9 specific characteristics. And this, in turn, as my honourable friend for Romford pointed out, has created an industry which wants to force a statistically perfect division on the basis of sex and race in all parts of society, even though that's impossible to achieve. It encourages us to presume every disparity is the result of prejudice and to turn even minor workplace differences into legal grievances. And worst of all, unelected officials in our institutions have worked behind closed doors with radical activists who prescribe social engineering to get equal outcomes, even when it takes a hammer to the British people's sense of fairness and even when it's against the law. In seeking to progress equality, these aspects of the Act have changed our culture and taken us backwards. We don't believe that people should be held back from progression because of their protected characteristics. But in the RAF, white male recruits were deliberately blocked from training and given fewer opportunities because of their race and sex. We don't believe that women should be paid less than men for the same work, but in the Department for Education, they are using the Equality Act to justify paying men £1,000 more than women for the same jobs in childcare. We don't believe in employing people just because of their race, but senior officers at West Yorkshire Police rigged the recruitment process to hire an ethnic minority candidate who failed their interview just to meet a diversity target. And now, thanks to the Labour government, a young person's opportunity to take their first steps serving this country in the civil service is not based on how hard they work, but on what job their parents did when they were 14 years old. If you're the child of a nurse or a cabbie or a shopkeeper, well, I'm sorry, but you're just not working class enough. The door is shut to you. And internships up and down the country, including at MI6, young white people have been told they cannot even apply. And here's the problem. The Equality Act has created a hierarchy of diversity. If you're a woman, you are told that your rights are not as important as trans rights. If you're a white boy who grew up in care, or whose parents were alcoholics, or who recovered from a life-changing disease, well, tough luck, you're not as deserving as an ethnic minority. But who's to say whose adversity has been more of a challenge? How can we fit the whole of human experience into these tidy little boxes? And when rights clash, as they do, who gets to choose which group is deemed more worthy? When it came to gender ideology, it was bureaucrats behind closed doors, often working hand in glove with extreme activist groups. And when women lost their jobs or were forced to share changing rooms with men, it was HR departments citing the Equality Act who held the pitchforks. Across the NHS, police forces, local councils and government departments, it was unelected officials who were using the Equality Act as a weapon to undermine meritocracy. In the cases of Birmingham and Next, it was unaccountable independent experts who decided that manual shift work was equal to retail and office work. In the case of Next, when employees were given the chance, they refused to move to warehouses. The work was deemed of equal value, even when it was clearly not thought to be so by the workers themselves. This is simply absurd. One ruling bankrupted a council, the other will push up costs for consumers, all because of decisions made by people who are unaccountable. And there are more of these cases on the way. This hierarchy of diversity does not reflect the values upon which this country was built, a country built on fairness and merit, which judges individuals by their actions and their character, not their immutable characteristics. We cannot assign innocence or guilt, merit or privilege by characteristic, placing some groups on a pedestal whilst others are pushed aside. The public see a society where protection is selective and where the playing field tilts towards those who can claim special status. And we've just seen today calls from the member from Wolverhampton West to have yet more special statuses. But surely the answer is this. The law that protects me from discrimination should protect my honourable friend from Romford from discrimination, should protect his constituents from discrimination when we are all equal before the law. And it's about to get worse, because the government is set on introducing an Islamophobia definition, which they've tried to do behind closed doors. This will have a chilling effect on our public services' ability to grasp difficult and sensitive issues such as grooming gangs, gender inequality, or Islamist extremism. And they're doing this under the pretense of combating hatred and violence, which is already against the law. Instead of doing the hard graft of breaking down barriers and creating opportunity, ministers want to hand yet more powers to consultants and HR officials in an undefined race equality bill to further shape the world according to who they deem worthy. It's easier, after all, to talk about quotas at diversity conferences than to fix entrenched problems in education, geography, family structures, and culture. Because it's easier to judge visible characteristics, it risks creating a system which overlooks each individual's personal circumstances and what they may have overcome. But giving pen pushers more authority to dictate who is privileged does not create more opportunity. It doesn't make Britain more fair or more prosperous. So the question we should ask is this: what message does all of this send to our children? Do we want them to believe that their future is determined by tick boxes on a form? Do we want them to grow up thinking that fairness means some doors are closed to them because of their race or sex? Or do we want them to live in a country where the law guarantees equal treatment and opportunity for all? It's time to put an end to this social experiment. Let's return to first principles: equal treatment under the law, equal opportunity in life, and a belief in the people of this country to rise as far as their talent and determination can take them. That's what genuine equality looks like, and that's what the British people believe in. I'll give way on that point.
Thank you for giving way. I take your point about everyone being equal under the law, but what if somebody experiences the fact that they are not made equal under the law? What redress will that person have were it not for legislation that is currently in place?
Shadow Minister.
I believe what the honourable gentleman is talking about is discrimination, and the point of being equal under the law is that the same protections from discrimination can protect his constituents. They can protect me, they can protect the member for Romford. The whole point of our common law system is that we all must face the same law, whether that is for penalty or whether that is in the cases of discrimination and harassment. And he refers to many of the pieces of discrimination and harassment that are in the Equality Act. They weren't created by the Equality Act. They were created decades and decades before.